let's talk about what it even means to be left and right. This is funny. There's a meme. It said, or it's a Twitter post that went viral. People screenshot it. If you are on the left, and they describe you as a lefty, and you deviate on leftist economic policy, they don't care. That's fine. Okay, whatever. If you deviate in terms of woke ideology, now you're a right winger. It's funny though, because think.
Let me pause it. I was just about to say, let me pause it here, because that's a good point, and let's discuss that, because I mean, I think you had pointed this out. Maybe we've just talked about it generally in several conversations, but that is a great point, because that's the point that we bring up about how are you left, because the economic differences. Go ahead, because I feel like you have.
No, your point is you're on point, because he makes an RBN analysis here. We call out the DSA left all the time because they say stuff, especially with the Rage Against the Machine rally recently. They say, "Oh my God, you guys are organizing with these libertarians. Oh my God, you guys are organizing with these right wingers." But you got AOC at an event with Chuck Schumer. You see how to them the differences between AOC's supposed economic policies, like her supposed support for Medicare for All, and Chuck Schumer's disagreement over Medicare for All. That's not a big deal. Chuck Schumer disagrees with you on a policy that would have saved 500,000 people under COVID. 70,000 people died every year before the pandemic because of Medicare for All. Disagreeing on that is a giant disagreement. It's a giant bridge to overcome. But the DSA left, they say, "Oh, well, that's not a big deal. Of course you got to build coalitions with the liberals, even if they don't support Medicare for All." But then they will look at a libertarian and say, "No, ever organize with that person, even if you're resisting the war."
They want culture war to take precedent over economics. They want culture war to be the priority over economics, which the reason why we're in the place we're at as a working class. But so I see the point. Let's let them continue to speak about this question.
Thinking about that, if you're on the right and you lie, you're a liar. Or I should say this: if you lie online, conservatives will call you a liar. If you are on the internet and you are conservative, they will call you a conservative. If you are on the internet and you are a leftist, they will call you a leftist. If you deviate from those opinions, they'll say, "Hey, your opinion changed." On the left, they'll just say you're right wing, you're right wing, you're right wing, unless you agree with us on the tribal ideological issue. But if you could claim to be pro BLM, you could claim to be in support of trans kids and all that stuff, but question universal health care, and they have no problem with that.
So I interviewed, I don't know if you know, but a big watershed moment.
Is that a point? Like you could be, but you can question. But it's the same point. He's making the point that you're putting culture or a culture want ahead of any economic decision. Go ahead.
He's talking about the relationship between Jennifer Rubin and AOC. Like, I know a lot of you guys are on Twitter, but Jennifer Rubin regularly stands AOC on Twitter now, like replies to her. The fact that you have AOC on Rachel Maddow. These are people who do not agree with Medicare for All. So the point that Tim Pool is making is AOC would never be caught dead with someone who is considered a transphobe, right? But why is she so comfortable being around people who are against people getting health care? Which is a good point that Tim Pool is making. The inconsistencies that we point out all the time from the DSA left, right? But go ahead, CJ. And I don't watch Tim Cast. I did say that.
Yeah, Isila. Tell us if you watched him. Give us like a brief description. I'll put it up on the screen because all of us don't watch. Now I think she's speaking to somebody in the comments though.
Yeah, I know you guys.
They don't understand, and we don't. And I know I don't. But I would like to understand who he is more, maybe from somebody who may like him. So if you are that person, please type a description, and we'll put it up in just a second here.
When at my show was, I interviewed a Boogaloo Boy. And now people don't know anything about the Boogaloo Boy. Either did I. That's why I interviewed him. And what I found out, it was exactly what you just said. So this Boogaloo Boy comes.
Say again?
I would say, God forbid that you're curious, you want to learn more. And that's why I never understood that, Chris. I'm like, we say, I have said this many times, it's not the job of Black people and other brown people to convince white people not to be racist. It's extra credit. I do it because I like to convince people not to be racist, but it's not our job. The job is for the white community to come together and figure out these issues. So when Jimmy invites a Boogaloo Boy on, that's him doing exactly what we want, right? bring someone on who is perceived as racist and talk about left ideas. And he claimed that he supported Black Lives Matter, that he's anti-racist. So what else do you want? I'm sure that if I scroll through this dude's Twitter line, and I'm sure if I can find things they said is disgusting. But my question is, what more do you want from people that support Medicare for All, that claims they are anti-racist, who claims they want to help you guys out? You shut them out for what? You shut them out for not the same reason that you shut out a Biden voter. You guys hang out, you guys associate with Biden voters, with war criminals, but you guys draw a hard line in the sand over stuff that's mostly insignificant. But go ahead, CJ.
Comes on my show and he tells people that the Boogaloo Boys were invented as a response to the Proud Boys. They're not proud. So people would conflate Boogaloo Boys and Proud Boys.
Because the media lies.
And that's right. And so the Boogaloo Boys were actually people who were seeking common ground. They were pro-Black Lives Matter. They were anti-war. They were anti-cop.
They shake hands with Antifa in a bunch of videos.
And they
march together.
They marched with that. So that's the video I saw of this guy, Magnus, and he had a Black Lives Matter person with him. He had a gay person with him. And then it was him. And he's a libertarian. And he said, we seek common ground. We're not your enemy, our enemy. And I was like, let's bring this guy on. I found out he was pro-gay. They provided security for the Black Lives Matter protests. So they're pro-Black Lives Matter, pro-LGBTQ. They're anti-war, anti-cop. What else do you guys? That's 4 or 5 out of the top 10 issues I have.
Real quick, so they supported people protesting against the police, but they are out of bounds. They are considered beyond the pale. But you guys support a policy that literally support a party that literally support funding the police more. You guys justify voting for Jim Crow Joe, who waged war against the Black community. But you guys want to excommunicate people who claim, whether you want to say that's true or not, who claim they support Black Lives Matter? And I am only asking for the consistency here. Like, if you want the people that don't associate with liberals because of Biden, okay. You don't associate with people you consider right-wing, okay. But people who associate with a liberal, these horrific warmongering people who hate the poor, you will be okay with those people, but you want workers to not associate with each other. That doesn't make any sense to me. But go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can agree on, we could work on. They demonize me. Like, you can't do that. That guy's this, he's that. And I'm like, so I literally had a guy come on after I interviewed him from the World Socialist website. And he's supposed to be a union organizer. His name is Jerry something. And I can't remember his last name. And you never heard of it anyway, because this guy's never accomplished a goddamn thing in his life. And he came on and he started to rip me for interviewing that guy. And I go, Jerry, what's your message to that guy? This guy is being affected by the economic crushing from COVID, just like everybody else. What's your message? Don't you have a message to recruit him? Because if you don't have a message, the Nazis are going to have a message. We got to have a message. And he goes, I don't have a message for that guy. And I'm like, well, that's why nobody ever heard of you. And that's why you've never accomplished anything.
But that's such the strategy. And you kind of were alluding to that when you said you don't even want to reach out. What is your message to a young racist? Nothing? Then he's going to be an old racist. Like, what is your message to them? Go ahead, Nate.
And remember how I called out the cowardly left people that say, I will never talk. I dissociate with my racist family members. Like, you guys are cowards. You don't help our movement. I had a good friend I talked about many times who had a lot of racist family members. He didn't cut them off, but he won them over because he's a communist. He's a strong anti-cop, anti-militaristic guy who lives in the Midwest who had a lot of racist family members. Instead of cutting them off, he won them over slowly over a long period of time. So what these white people, these white liberals, what they want to do is pretend they're anti-racist without ever engaging their own community, their own racist family members, their own people in their community to convince them that they are wrong. They want to do nothing but virtue signaling and then put Black Lives Matter in their profile and feel like they've done something.